It's important that you make yourself familiar with the at least common illnesses that your pet can be affected by. That way, if your pet starts to show signs or symptoms, you're familiar with them and that you are able to recognize that you need to take your pet to the vet. So today we're going to be talking about 5 common hamster illnesses. Of course, these are not all of the illnesses possible for a hamster to get, but these are just some of the more common ones. The first common illness is respiratory infections. Hamsters have very sensitive respiratory systems, so there could be a variety of factors that could cause your hamster to develop a respiratory infection, such as using bedding like pine, cedar, or softwood shavings, using chinchilla dust instead of sand, or using scented beddings. Signs of a respiratory infection would include clicking when breathing.
If you guys can hear that, I'm not sure. But as you can see, his right here is very labored breathing too.
Any wheezing or sneezing. Keep in mind that 1 or 2 sneezes doesn't indicate a respiratory infection, but if your hamster is sneezing quite a bit, it could be a sign of one. Discharge from the eyes or nose, as well as decreased activity levels. If your hamster has signs of a respiratory infection, please see a vet. The faster they can get them on antibiotics, the faster your hamster can start feeling better. Mites and parasites. There are many different types of skin parasites that can affect your hamster, so it's important that if your hamster is showing any of the symptoms that you do take them to the vet. Your vet will do a skin scraping and that can help them detect which type of parasite your hamster has and which type of treatment plan they need to go on. Signs of parasites would include hair loss, skin redness, as well as an increased itching and scratching of an area. If you notice your hamster is really itching all the time, the same exact spot for long periods of time, and it looks like it's really irritating them, that could be a sign of parasites. Keep in mind, of course, hamsters do groom quite a bit and they will tend to scratch themselves sometimes. So if your hamster scratches themselves once or twice, it doesn't necessarily mean they have parasites. Generally, parasites can travel in things like hamster bedding as well as wooden items. So to prevent your hamster from getting any mites or parasites, you can freeze your hamster's bedding for 24 hours, as well as you can bake or freeze any wooden accessories. Tumors and lumps. Oftentimes, hamsters can develop lumps and bumps, and there are a couple of different types. First, there are tumors. There are 2 different types of tumors. The first one is benign, which is one that generally doesn't affect the hamster too much. They don't tend to grow or spread a whole lot. And the second type of tumors are malignant ones, which are cancerous and they do tend to spread. Unfortunately, tumors are quite common to see with hamsters nowadays, thanks to the breeding industry and their lack of care for the hamster's health and genetics. The next type of lump is an abscess. This is a pus-filled lump that is caused from a bacterial infection from a cut, scratch, or any type of wound. This happens when your hamster hurts themselves, they get a scratch or a cut or any type of thing like that, and the injury ends up getting infected. And the last type of lump there is a cyst. A cyst is a soft, round, movable lump which generally contains fluid, air, or other substances. Cysts generally do not develop into cancer, and they can be caused by a variety of reasons. Make sure to not confuse things like your hamster's scent glands or your male hamster's testicles as tumors, cysts, or abscesses. A scent gland and testicles are both normal things. If you do notice any lumps or bumps on your hamster, it is important to take them to the vet to get it checked out, and your vet can then determine what the next step is to take, whether that be treating it with antibiotics or removal. Diarrhea and wet tail. This is quite a confusing illness, and I'm going to try my best to make it make sense, but a lot of people tend to think that when their hamster gets diarrhea, that means that their hamster automatically has wet tail, which is not true. There are many illnesses that look the exact same as wet tail, but are in fact not wet tail. Wet tail is a specific disease that is a bacterial infection and has only been seen in young Syrian hamsters and is caused by
Lawsonia intercellularis.
Lawsonia intercellularis, which I don't know how to properly pronounce, but it is a bacteria that causes a thickening in the small intestine. So just because your hamster develops diarrhea and other symptoms of wet tail does not mean your hamster has wet tail. Especially if your hamster has already been living in your home for quite some time, it is very, very unlikely for it to actually be wet tail. That being said, if your hamster does have diarrhea and they are not eating or drinking, it is really important that you take them into the vet to get treated. Pyometra. Pyometra is an infection of the uterus or womb in female hamsters, and it's more commonly seen in older female hamsters. There also is two types of pyometra, and that is open and closed. With open pyometra, there will be discharge of blood or pus. This is a reminder that female hamsters do not have periods and bleeding for them is not normal. And then there is closed pyometra, and this is when the cervix is closed, so all of that pus and blood starts to build up, causing a bulge and bloating in the abdomen. It's really important that if you see any of these signs, you take your hamster into the vet immediately so that they can treat them, as pyometra can lead to death very quickly. The vet will either treat pyometra with antibiotics or they will have to do a spay removing the uterus. Because hamsters are prey animals, they are very good at hiding any signs of being sick or hurt, so it's really important you're always paying quite close attention to your hamster so that if anything suddenly changes, you can take them to the vet. If you notice any type of discharge coming from anywhere, diarrhea, hair loss, inactivity, or decreased appetite or dehydration, you see a vet. I really hope this video can help because a lot of these illnesses are life-threatening if not treated, and it's super important that as soon as you see those symptoms that you are taking your hamster to the vet to make sure they get treated. So yeah guys, thank you for watching. Bye!